The other day we were talking about how with the practice of mindfulness Satipatthana, the practice of the noble path of constituents is involved in accordance with the proof given in the text called Mahavagga Samyutta Pali Virada Sutta, Discourse on the Loss. Also, we talked about the qualities of Satipatthana in various ways. And then we continue to discuss on the types of Satipatthana, depending on the types of objects, 4 kinds of objects that we note. When we are noting every arising materiality in the body, continuously, is the practice of mindfulness of the body, Kaya Anupasana Satipatthana. And as one is focusing one's attention on the body, the feeling in the body, there's bound to be feelings, good and bad, neutral, especially good and bad feelings. Noting them continuously is Vedana Anupasana Satipatthana, mindfulness of feelings. And sometimes you have some lustful thoughts in your mind. Sometimes you have no lustful thoughts. Your mind is free from craving. Or sometimes your mind is involved in craving. Or sometimes your mind is having anger, ill will, hatred. Sometimes your mind is having good loving kindness, sort of non-hatred. And also sometimes you'll be deluded, and then you're not deluded. So noting them. Sometimes the mind is distracted. There are discursive thoughts. And sometimes your mind is very pure, at other times impure. You note them as they arise. He is noting or practicing the Anupasana Satipatthana, mindfulness of the mind. And lastly, we have this mindfulness of general activities such as seeing, hearing, tasting, touching. Continuously noting them is Dhamma Anupasana Satipatthana, mindfulness of the Dhamma. So we touched on this topics just for the sake of just superficially. And also we talked about Anupasana, contemplation, noting repeatedly, and how Satipatthana is cultivated. At that point, we came to the conclusion of the talk the other day. Today we shall continue to discuss this subject. While we are discussing the qualities and properties of Sati, as given by the expression Pa, which has the connotation of Upatthita Sati, that means firmly established, extraordinarily sustained on the mindfulness, on the object, and then the qualities such as Akantitva Pavadati. One must be able to penetrate, know the object as though the mind penetrates or sinks into the object. And then Akantitva Pavadati. One is noting in this way, one's mind should rush into the object so as to plunge into the object. And then Patraitva Pavadati, your mindfulness should proceed by covering the object of attention in its entirety. That's why this word called Pa is added to Satipatthana, Sati to Sati and Thana, between Sati and Thana. So it has to be extraordinary Sati, mindfulness, excessive Sati, extraordinary, excessive, unique type of mindfulness, not the ordinary type of mindfulness. It has to be unique and special, extraordinary, excessively. Hence, to convince the yogis that the kind of sati that they are applying has to be extraordinary, excessive, intensive, and such should be the quality of the sati that they are applying. So as soon as the object rises, they should be able to connect the note mind with the object at once as it rises, so that note mind proceeds as though it is or it has penetrated or sunk into the object of attention. Then only there will be sustained mindfulness, which will happen continuously, which will be sustained continuously. But what it should proceed, it should happen continuously, without any gap. Moreover, when we are applying the speed of the noting mind, it should be as fast as possible. Instead of being slow or ordinary, it has to be the fastest kind of speed by which you apply your noting mind to the object of attention. That is given by this Paṇḍitā Sayadaw. One's noting mind must rush into the object as though it plunges into it, sunk into it immediately. And the mindfulness should proceed in this way. While doing so, there's no time for thoughts, no time for conceptualization, no time for intellectualization as to what this object is, what we are doing or how it is, and so on. One should be able to catch up with this object of attention at once, plunging one's noting mind into the object. It has to be in such an extraordinary, excessive manner, without any time for thoughts. If you are procrastinating or if you are taking time, because the objects arise and pass away very fast, faster than you can think, once you are thinking and thinking about noting, the object will have arisen and gone, come and gone. You would miss that. Hence, as the expression goes, Dukkha Ajnana, you will not be knowing the truth of suffering, because you are not being able to be fully aware of the object as it arises immediately. So what will happen? The consequences are that there will be likes and dislikes about desirable and desirable objects. There will be craving for desirable object and ill will or hatred or anger as regards undesirable objects. So that's because your mindfulness is not properly done in the qualities that we mentioned. So as not to happen like this, one should note, in order to really penetrate into the object, by plunging into the object in an excessive manner, extraordinary manner, so as to sustain your mindfulness on the object of attention. Only when you are able to do it with such a quality, with mindfulness of such a quality, will you be able to practice mindfulness on a high level basis. If you are not able to practice Satipatthana of the quality of this quality that we just discussed, then we will be drifting along the current of defilements, negative tendencies. So when at times you are drifting along this current, especially when the water is deep, you cannot reach the bottom because the water is deep, not shallow enough. You cannot go down and touch the bottom, the bed on the river bed to depend on, to grasp. Nor there's anything upstairs, anything above to hang on to, nor on the side, nor anything on both sides to hang on to, because You are surrounded by water. You are drifting along the current. So at that time you have nothing to depend on. And at that time, just like a little boat being drifted along in the stormy seas or stormy water, it reaches an island, so it will just try and grasp or get hold of this island to depend upon. So as for the beings, they are drifting along the currents of negative tendencies, defilements, and these defilements are the causes of suffering. 100% of human suffering have their causes in these negative tendencies, kilesas, impurities such as greed, hatred and delusion. And due to these impurities, mental impurities, people suffer. As for the underlying tendency, nature of human being, they don't want to suffer, they want happiness. So if you detest suffering and prefer happiness, all you have to do is just try to do away with these causes, which are the negative tendencies or impurities, mental impurities. That is your responsibility. Otherwise, the beings are bound to endure suffering. And if they suffer as a result of these defilements, now defilements, these negative impurities, mental impurities are like fire. When it burns, while it is burning, you get heated. So also, when these defilements are happening, when you are being attacked by these mental impurities, you will become oppressed. That you become tormented. They are oppressive, tormenting. Just like the fire, when it is burning also, it gets heated, you get burned. And indulging in these kilesas, if you do wrong things by body, speech and mind, then also you will suffer. So they are very dangerous. They are dangerous in both occasions. While the defilements are happening or after they have happened. Because you are indulging, as a result of indulgence in these kilesas, you commit wrongdoing by body, speech and mind. So then you may be doing wrongful things physically, such as killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, verbally, lying, malicious talk and things like that. And then enjoying sensual pleasures, leading to such immoral deeds. Even if you are practicing Satipatthana in order to get over these sufferings, if you are not doing properly, respectfully, carefully, meticulously, thoroughly, you are said to be heedless, and you are said to be failing, negligent in overcoming these kilesas, which are the causes of suffering. Because there are many types of negative tendencies which cause suffering. Many. So you are the only one to depend upon, nobody else. The one who will save you is yourself and nobody else. As the saying goes, Adaya Adno Nato, Oi Nato Parosiya. You are the island of refuge and nobody else. You cannot depend on other people. If you want to depend on other people, there will be nobody else to help you. You are the only savior. So when you are taking up this practice in the rare occasions, you should be able to note every arising, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, so that you'll be free from these negative tendencies. So with the practice, you can purify your physical behaviors so that they become cultured, graceful and affable. And so too will be your behavior by speech. They will become pure, graceful, cultured, and upgraded, and affable. And once you are able to cultivate knowledge, inside knowledge, then you'll be more and more graceful, more and more pure, more and more cultured, extra cultured. You'll be extra tamed. So this gain in terms of culture and taming will not be gained without paying anything, free of charge. You've got to pay for it. You've got to practice mindfulness so that you'll be able to realize the benefits of the practice. And in short, while you are being floated or drifted along the current of defilements, as most beings are, you should save yourself. You are the only savior. And the only method is the practice of Satipatthana. And there's nobody to save you. You cannot depend on others. But the Buddha himself has given this expression, Adadipa, make an island to yourself. Make yourself an island of refuge. And that island of refuge is none other than the Dhamma as island of refuge. Now, this is what the Buddha addressed the monks. Not depend on others, but depend on yourself. Make yourself an island of refuge. Because you are the only one to be dependent on. Then we may ask, how about our own body? If the Buddha says that this is not dependable, can we not depend on our own body? Well, the body is not sure, there's no security in the body, no guarantee. One day it will be thrown away, it will become useless. Even now, things are arising and passing away. All the psychophysical phenomena, mind, body, are arising and passing away even momentarily. So there's no security even at this moment, very moment. So at this moment, one should depend on make yourself an island of refuge, like extracting gold from trash by recycling. And then this should be done in time. And there's no other thing to depend upon. Dhamma is the only one to depend upon. Dhamma is, make Dhamma your island of refuge. There are no other island of refuge. Buddhas are only guides. Now one can ask, is Buddha not to be relied upon? Of course, the Buddha can be relied upon in that the Buddha is a guide. He gives a guide to show the way and the right way, that this way is right, this way is wrong, follow the right path. The right path is none other than the four foundations of mindfulness, noting every arising in the body as the materialities arise, noting sensations or feelings as they arise in the body, and noting whatever arises in your thoughts and the general activities as they arise. In short, note the immediately arising object. There is none other to be dependent upon. You are the one to be dependent upon. That is what is meant. So, instead of depending on others, one should depend on the Dhamma. That is the practice of the Dhamma. Buddhas are only guides. That's what the Buddha said. And you yourself, monks, you yourself must practice to dry up the sap of defilements. And the Buddhas are only guides. So they will give the guidance. This is that, such as this is the right path to follow. If you follow the right path, you will reach the right destination. Excuse me. And Satipatthana is the right path. So the Buddha has shown the way of mindfulness. So when the right path is shown, you will reach the right destination. The right path means right practice, the right practice. Then, what is the right practice? Jai, it is given by the expression Jai, no? That is cultivation of Vipassana jhana, which you all are doing, by noting the rising in the body as it rises immediately. And so are other objects like feelings, thoughts and general activities. Thus, you are cultivating this insight absorption, Vipassana jhanas, by noting every rising in the body. So such mindfulness is what is meant by the right path. You are following the right path. If you follow the right path, you are bound to reach the right destination. And if you don't walk the right path, your land of defilements are land of danger, full of dangers. And when you walk the right path, if you reach the safe land, then you'll be free from harm. That is, as for the harmful elements, impurities, they can kill you, they can kill the person, individual, or even if the person is not killed, that they will lose their dignity. Their dignity will be killed. That is given by the expression Mara. So if you are not able to practice mindfulness, you are said to be deviating from the path. If you are deviating from the path, you will not reach the right destination. Only when you take up the right practice, walk the right path, will you be able to reach the right destination, free from the bondage of these negative elements. That's what the Buddha gave the instruction. To make yourself a savior, your own savior or self-savior, Buddha has given the method of practice, namely Satipatthana. You can validate this statement with your own practical experience. And if you are able to do it fully, thoroughly, then you'll be free of, you will be saving yourself from the current of defilements while you are being drifted along it. Just look at yourself. You can check. You can just validate with your own practice. And with what should you undertake the practice of Satipatthana in order to save yourself? It is given by the expression Adapi Samajano Satima. Adapi, ardent energy, or four exertions. Four types of exertions. In fact, in short, it is a Virya, ardent energy. With this ardent energy, you can weaken and dry up these kilesas, defilements. Applying Virya, four types of Virya in energy, or called ardent energy. If you apply it, then there will be no such thing as procrastination, taking time to think before you know it, and in a cool, laid-back manner. There will be no such thing. No such coolness, no such procrastination, no such slackness. You'll be diligent, active, wakeful all the time. And initially you are prepared, predetermined to take up the practice with faith and confidence in the method of practice. So with faith and confidence, you'll have zeal, strong desire to undertake the practice, to save yourself from this current of defilements. This which will lead to ardent energy, application of ardent energy, that with wakefulness, diligence, activity. At this moment you will be able to note every rising object, beginning with the main object of rising and falling, so as not to miss them. because you are applying this ardent energy, atapa, every second, every moment of the time. So whoever exerts this ardent energy, atapa, is known as adapi, the one who exerts energy. And if one is able to exert energy all the time, you are bound to dry up the step of kilesas. With one moment of energy, atapa, there will be one moment of kilesas that dried up. And in 1 minute, if you are able to do it continuously, for that moment, for that length of time, your kilesas will be dried up. In a sense, if your kilesas are dried up, you become pure. Your mind becomes very pure. So, if there is energy, if you are applying energy, you'll be also cultivating this mindfulness. Mindfulness will be sustained on the object. And if you are noting, if your mindfulness is sustained on the body, you'll be knowing this, you'll be contemplating or practicing the mindfulness of the body. And if you are focusing on sensations, you will be practicing the contemplation of feelings. And if you are focusing on your thoughts, then you will be practicing the Vipassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of the mind. And if you are focusing on general activities such as seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, you will be practicing Dhamma Vipassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of Dhamma. That happens when your mindfulness is sustained. Then the mind will not go elsewhere. There will be no distraction, no discursive thoughts. That means your mind falls calm and collected on the object of attention, giving rise to what is known as samatha, tranquility or serenity. This expression is given in practice of Satipatthana, Vipassana, as an unavoidable statement, because if you are not mindful, there will not be any concentration of the mind. So just you can find out with your own practical experience, if you are able to focus attentively on the arising object, you are bound to deepen your concentration. And if, because you have been practicing it, you have gained this practice, you'll be able to know the true nature of the objects noted. That is panya, wisdom. This you realize by yourself, one by one. So with the application of energy, you are not accepting the impurities. By not being accepting impurities, they are said to be abandoned. You are walking the right path by means of exertion of energy. And with the application of energy, there is bound to be mindfulness, so that you will be drifting along only the current of kusala wholesomeness. Because you are protected from impurities. That is the quality of sati. If you are protected, you will be safe and free. You are free from bondage. And with the deepening of concentration, you are not shaken. There's no mental turbulence. You are not shaken by these negative tendencies such as craving and so on. And if, as your mind is concurrent with the object, seeing the true nature of objects, you'll be free from latent tendencies on a part-time basis. There'll be no such thing as avijja, simple unknowing, or doing wrongly. Such is Anapana, the benefit of contemplation. At that moment, 5 factors of the Noble Path of Way constituents are said to be involved. Namely, samadhi making up, the concentration path, the path of concentration, and panya making up, because you are seeing the true nature of objects. 2 constituents of panya making up, the wisdom path. In this way, it makes up 5 factors. These 5 factors are involved every time you are practicing mindfulness of every arising. So, with the samadhi making up, the concentration path, you will be free from obsessive types of defilements, pariyotana kilesas. And with the practice of Panya, making up the wisdom path, you'll be free from the latent tendencies of defilements, at least on a part-time basis, at that very moment. At this moment, your Vipassana Chitta stream of consciousness is free from immoralities, dirty dust, and neither will there be any wrong livelihood. So you are free from Samavacha, Micchavacha. You will be cultivating Samavacha, right speech, right actions, Makamata, and right livelihood, Samājiva. In this way, with the 5 factors that we have just discussed, when you add this to these 3 constituents, factors of morality path, that makes the noble path of 8 constituents. Such is how with the practice of Satipatthana, you are also practicing the noble path of 8 constituents. As you cultivate these 3 sekha, 3 trainings, or 3 types of sasana, teachings where the noble path of 8 constituents are involved, you just look at it from all angles regarding your behaviors by body, speech and mind. They will become pure and blameless. If they're not pure, you'll be degraded. Now you are upgraded, uplifted. Such is what is known in Pali as Ariya, noble. And when you are pure by body, speech and mind, or you are free from these 3 categories of defilements, you're pure, you're totally pure and cultivated by body, speech and mind. Because the noble path of it, with the practice of the noble path of 8 constituents, all the kilesas are overcome, and with the practice of noble path of 8 constituents, you reach or attain the cessation, rightly leading to the cessation of suffering. And this Magga quality, the quality of this path, will be discussed tomorrow. Magga quality, the quality of this path, will be discussed tomorrow. Magga quality, the quality of this